Hi everybody and welcome to my latest video. It's your old mate Beatle Dave calling to you from Derby in the United Kingdom. I hope you're all well and dandy out there around the world. Welcome to Beatles fans, fellow YouTubers, people of the internet, the vinyl community, you know, anybody that's interested in music, anybody that's just come across this channel. Welcome, everybody's welcome on my channel. Now today, the video today has actually been suggested by one of my subscribers, Terry Mann. So I've thought about it and I've thought, yes, we will do a video on this. So it is a bit unusual because I don't think many people have actually done a video on this subject, which we will go into in a little bit. But first, I'm going to do some Beatle Dave's twist and shout outs. Now these are two newer sort of channels, or channels that I've come across, so they are new to me over the past probably 3, maybe 4 months. So the first twist and shout out goes to the Vinyl Sanctuary. So there's your twist and your shout out to the Vinyl Sanctuary. I think he's been going about 2, maybe 3 months. It's not a Beatles channel, it's a vinyl channel, and he does show you some wonderful records that is picked up along the many years he's been collecting records, basically. Like I say, I've only just got into this channel. I think I've been watching it for just over a month, but it is a lovely chap who does it. His presentation is fantastic, so check that one out. Then there's my old mate Toby Jackman. So here's your twist and your shout out to Toby Jackman. Well, most of you who watch my channel will probably know Toby, because Toby buys and sells records. He'll buy job lots, take out what he wants, and then he sells the rest of them. He's just done an interesting one on 2 German Beatles LPs. He is mainly Beatles related in what he shows you, but he does do other things as well, like the Rolling Stones and things like that. You know, so please check that one out. The next one is a channel I've actually been watching for quite a while, to be honest, but I've never actually given him given this channel a twist and shout out. So this is the twist and your shout out to Chris at the Vinyl Orchard. He does a lot of like top 10s, and he does a lot. He goes into lots of competitions and things like that. He's done a very interesting one in his top 40 punk albums, which is the one I watched. I think it was yesterday. Fantastic channel. Again, his presentation leaves mine way behind. Very, very good channel. Very, very interesting. He does sometimes do things on Beatles, but he's got a vast array of musical influences, shall we say. So check that one out. Then there's another one that I've come across probably in the past six months, maybe. I don't watch all of these all the time, by the way, but this one is called Beer and Vinyl. So here's your twist and your shout out to Beer and Vinyl. What a fantastic name for a YouTube channel, because we all like a beer, or most of us like a beer, and obviously if you're watching this channel, you like your records and your vinyl. So I think that is a fantastic name for a channel. I think he's based in either America or Canada. I can't remember off the top of my head. Very entertaining though. Very, very entertaining. The next Beatle Dave's twist and shout out goes to James Griffiths. So here's your twist and your shout out to James Griffiths. Check out his channel. He has some absolutely fantastic records. Again, this is a channel that I've been watching for a very long time, and again, I didn't realise I'd never gave him a shout out. So well done, James. You've made it onto Beatle Dave's twist and shout outs. Now this next one is nothing to do with the Beatles, nothing to do with music. It is a YouTube channel and it's called JLL Trading. So Beatle Brad, I know you're into your model of airways, check this channel out. He sells lots of model of airways and cassette tapes and radio controlled cars. Anything basically that he can make a profit on, he sells it. He's doing it part-time. He's got another job as well, and he will tell you what he buys things for and then roughly what he sells them for. Very entertaining channel. And if you like your Hornby train sets or your Lemas or things like that, check this channel out. I mean, I haven't got a train set anymore, but I still watch this channel just to see what sort of money he makes. It's very, very good. So JLL Trading, here's your twist and shout out. Check him out. Very, very entertaining video. And the last twist and shout out goes to an Irishman in Somerset. So here's your twist and your shout out to Irishman in Somerset. Again, a very, very entertaining channel. So just check these channels out, please. And if you want to subscribe, please do. I'm sure you will want to subscribe to most of these if you start to watch them. And if you want to say Beatle Dave sent me along, that's all the better. Right, and then my last twist and shout out goes to twist and you shout out to Terry Man for giving me the idea for this video. Now, before the days of the internet, if you wanted to learn anything about any band or anything like that, you had to buy a book, and it sometimes could take you weeks, if not months, to read a whole book just to find out certain things. In the case of the Beatles, they did do it slightly different. They did do some interview albums. So that is what we're going to be looking at today, is the Beatles interview albums. Now, I must admit, I haven't got every interview album that was ever released. I thought I had the John Lennon one. Is it a Heart Play? Can't find it. And there's loads of like bootleggy things where the sound quality is absolutely rubbish. These that are on here, as far as I know, are official albums, i.e. they were like released with the permission of either the Beatles, the record company, or Brian Epstein. The first one is quite a rare record in some ways in the UK, but it's probably as common as anything in America. Do we need these records in this day and age? Do we need these albums? I'm going to leave this up to you. I'm just going to show you what I've got. So the first one is the Beatles Story. This is a double album, and it was released in 1964 at the height of America's love affair with the Beatles, basically. And on the back it says it's like spending a very special evening in the company of the Beatles themselves. The Beatles Story. I'll take it out of its plastic sleeve. Just bear with 1 second. So this is basically like listening to a radio show where there's snippets of interviews. There is some music on it, but not a great deal. The Beatles' lives in close-up, packed with detailed anecdotes, facts you never knew about them. The authentic personal stories of all four guys. The wonderful wit and humour of the Beatles themselves in off-the-cuff interviews. Excerpts from the Beatles hit records, and they are like 2 or 3 seconds. I think that's to do with copyright, to be honest. Best of the interviews with their fans. Dazzling new photos, it says on here. The most comprehensive coverage yet on John, George, Paul and Ringo from the beginning to their fabulous fame today. So it is a gatefold. Double album. That is supposed to be like, I haven't mipped it. So what does it say on the inside? So side 1, you get On Stage with the Beatles, how Beatlemania began, Beatlemania in action, Man behind the Beatles, Brian Epstein. That should be a little bit longer, I think, on this. John Lennon and then Who's a Millionaire. Side 2, Beatles will be Beatles, Man behind the music, George Martin, and then there's an interview with George Harrison. Side 3, A Hard Day's Night, their first movie, Paul McCartney. Sneaky haircuts and more about Paul. Side 4, The Beatles Look at Life, Victims of Beatlemania, a Beatles medley, Ringo Starr, Liverpool and All the World. So that is actually what is on this LP. Spread over 4 sides of an album. This is a later copy of this. Originally this was on Capitol, but this is a later copy from the late 60s, early 70s on Apple. And because it's an American pressing, these look funny in the UK, but there was design like that. So you've got side 1 and side 4, and then you've got side 2 and side 3. It was so that when you put them on the spindle, you could do it like that, couldn't you? And do them over and go like that. But this is virtually mint, unplayed. To be honest, when I first got this record many years ago, I did play it a lot. That is the other one, just to prove it. But in all fairness, I should say I haven't played this in over a year. Mainly because, like I say, when I first had it, I did play it a lot. So it's not that I'm lazy and I don't want to play them. It's just that I don't play them very often. And this is another copy of it. 3 copies of this in total. This one has got the original Capitol in the sleeves. And this is on the Capitol rainbow label. And again, this is virtually mint. Virtually mint. They have been played, but virtually mint. So I would say that this is one of the better sort of interview albums that are out there. And for historical interest, it's a must-have, to be honest. This is the other one, just to prove that there is 2. So that was sides 2 and sides 3, wasn't it? So this should be sides 1 and then side 4. Again, virtually mint condition. I mean, for saying this was never officially released in the UK, you do see it quite often at record fairs, sometimes on car boots and places like that. But to get them in good condition like this is actually quite hard. Usually if you get one of these, they're usually battered up, you know, in really bad condition. This is the 3rd one. You know, I can't remember what label this one's on. I think this one might be on Capitol. No, that's on Apple again. So I've got 2 on Apple and 1 on the Capitol. The sound quality, I think, is okay. It's what it is from the time that it was recorded in 1964. You know, looking back, it probably could have been done a lot better today. But if the Beatles were around now, they wouldn't be doing this, would they? They'd be doing things like on YouTube and things like that, you know. But yeah, they are worth having. These records, well, in my opinion, they're worth having. You probably don't need 3 copies like me. Why I've got 3. In fact, I think I've got a couple more as well somewhere, because I'm sure I've got one that is on another sort of Capitol label. Is it the red Capitol label? Then there's this one. I got this not very long ago, and I didn't pay a lot for it. And I did actually show it on a video. Now I thought this was probably a original VJ Records one from 1963, 1964. Well, it'll be 64. I think this came out after that one. After you have listened to the Beatles disclosing intimate facts about themselves and each other, make sure you treat yourself to their greatest hits, all on VJ and Tolly Records. Talk about milking the cow. So here the Beatles tell, oh, does Paul live with Asher? That means Jane Asher. Why John gives out the address of the Rolling Stones. George talks about Paddy Boyd. I think that's supposed to say Patty Boyd. The day they finished from the hotel window. Facts about Paul's racehorse. I thought Paul bought his dad a racehorse. Is John having another baby? I think that should say, is John and Cynthia having another baby, shouldn't it? How the Beatles' haircut came about Bingo's holiday with Maureen. The boys tell how they got their name. The truth the truth about the talk that John is leaving the Beatles. So it says there, look. So it is on the VJ label. And I actually thought this was the real thing, but my friend in America, Beatle Brad, seems to think this is a bootleg. And I think looking at it now, it is, because that there is very, very dark, isn't it, in that corner there. Sound quality on this is not as good as the Beatles Story. It's okay, don't get me wrong, it is okay. Do you really need this one? Probably not. If you'd got to pick, if you could only pick this one or the Beatles Story, I would say go for the Beatles Story. Mainly because that's on 2 records and this is only on 1. And to be honest, this isn't that good. It's nice to have, and if you've got to have everything the Beatles ever recorded, then yes, it is okay. I'm not saying it's crap or anything like that. I'm just saying it's probably not essential if you're not a die-hard Beatle fanatic. You know, I'm being honest with you folks. That's that one. I think this was reissued a few years ago on a budget label. Then we've got the Beatles Tapes. This was from 1976, I think this came out, and this text things from basically 1970 up to about 1970, no, from 1969 and 1970, 73. Side 1 is John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and that's from June 1969 and October 1971. So each Beatle gets a side. Side 2 is Paul McCartney from March of 1970. Side 3 is George Harrison from March 1969. So George is then one that gets interviewed where technically we're still in the Beatles, or the Beatles were still together, although June 1969 they were still together, weren't they? And then side 4 is Ringo, December 1968, July 1970 and December 1973. So on here, I can remember listening to this, and at one point they asked George if he thinks the Beatles are going to split up. And I'm sure he says, no, I don't think we'll ever split up, but we might take some time out to do some solo records. Now, bearing in mind, that was in 1969, so he wasn't far off the mark, was he? Because I still think when the Beatles originally did split up in 1969, it wasn't meant to be permanent. I think they were just going to, you know, see what they could do on their own sort of thing, see if they liked it, or, you know, maybe they needed a break before, you know, to carry on. I don't know. Only those 4 people know. It does come with a booklet. It's a double LP, and it says from the David Wigg interviews. So these was all done with the permission of Apple, EMI, and things like that. And believe it or not, it's on Polydor. Is it funny how our Parlophone didn't do it, you know? So I'll just show you one because they are all the same labels. This probably is the most revealing one of them all, i.e. they weren't being told what to say, they actually said what they felt like at this time in their careers, or the times these were recorded in their careers. I think George is the most honest one out of the lot, to be honest. I think from what I can remember, Paul's was done, wasn't it? Just before he left the Beatles. John's just being John, talks about peace and things like that. Ringo's is 3 separate occasions. That is the other one, by the way. Yeah, again, these, you do see them from time to time. If you was only going to ever have one Beatles interview album in your collection, I would say it's this one. Like I say, the Beatles are being themselves, are probably being the most truthful they'd ever been up to this point. Bearing in mind when the other albums or interviews were being done, you know, that they were sort of like told what they could say and what they couldn't say. They couldn't say anything about the Vietnam War and things like that, could they? You know, some of it was pretty scripted, wasn't it? You know, I mean, remember, you know, when the Beatles started, John Lennon couldn't even admit he was married in case it put the female fans off. But yes, this is a really, really good one to listen to. Again, I haven't actually listened to this for a while. It must be probably 6 months since I've listened to this. But when I do listen to it, I listen to it from start to finish. I always listen to it from start to finish. And like I say, it's the Beatles being the most open that they had been up to this point. And then there's this one, the McCartney interview. This came out in 1980, I think. And I can't remember if this was just before McCartney 2 or just after McCartney 2. And the catalogue number was actually Chat 1. So Paul discusses things like McCartney 2, negative criticism to the Beatles and Wings, Venus and Mars, Wildlife, Band on the Run, early Beatles, the Sgt. Pepper story, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. So it's basically, I think it's just an interview with a radio DJ, isn't it? I can't remember who it was who did this. I don't know. That is all the things he talks about basically there. And this is on Parlophone. In its original EMI sleeve. All it says is the McCartney interview complete, 1980 original sound recording made by musician, player and listener Inc. Is that MPO? Because I always thought MPO was McCartney Productions Limited. So that is side 1. Again, if you are a really big Paul McCartney fan, then this probably is a must. So that is the majority of the interview albums I've got. If you are just a casual Beatles fan, you don't really need any of them, to be honest. If I was going to recommend one out of them all, it would be the Beatles Tapes from the David Wigg interview, because that was done over a number of years, and like I say, it was probably the most honest you would ever hear the Beatles. I mean, since John's passed away and since George has passed away, when they interview Paul McCartney now, he speaks a lot different about the Beatles as what he did when they was alive. You know, he more fondly remembers his time in the Beatles now and things like that. Same with Ringo, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they haven't been Beatles for a hell of a lot longer than they were Beatles, but Paul McCartney's always going to be Beatle Paul, isn't he? Ringo's always going to be Beatle Ringo. Even John and George, you know, they was always tagged as Beatle or ex-Beatle Lennon doing this, or ex-Beatle George Harrison seen at Formula One race and things like that. You know, it wasn't pop star George Harrison seen it was ex-Beatles. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but they are worth. I mean, to me, they are worth having. But then, you know, I'm a Beatles fanatic, aren't I? Excuse me 1 second. Right. Some other little bits and pieces just to round this video off. Sue bought me a single, and it's not a Beatles single. It is this. It's Old Gold. How many of you can remember this Old Gold in the UK? Some of these are worth more than the original records now. This was like well, old gold series. So all your golden oldies were redone like this with like 2 hits. You'd have one hit on one side and one hit on the other. It was usually by the same person. Just having a look. So when I first met Sue, I used to put this record on my streaming device on my phone, and it is a song called Grooving with Mr. Blow, and the band was actually called Mr. Blow, and it's got a fantastic harmonica bit in it. And when I was playing it, I used to go like that and make out that my phone was a harmonica. You know, just something crazy what you do when you're in love and things like that. And she asked me the other day, she says, what do you want for your birthday? So I says, I wouldn't mind blowing with Mr. Blow. Now, this is a reissue, and this was still quite a lot of money. Original ones, bear in mind, this came out on about 4 or 5 different labels. Excuse me. Oh, the B-side is Sinful, by the way. So it came the other day, and she goes, well, here you are. And I says, well, it's not my birthday yet. She goes, you can have it now, Dave, because otherwise I'll put it in that safe place and forget where it is. So thank you, Sue. You've made an old man very happy with this. I've never had this on a compilation album or anything, but it is one of my favourite songs of all time that is not a Beatles song. And if you get the chance to download this or listen to it on Spotify, I was going to play it to start this video off, but I thought if I do that I might get a copyright claim. But yeah, Grooving with Mr. Blow. Fantastic song, a bit like a Northern Soul sort of song. Yeah, it's a fantastic song. Love it. And the other thing is, I have cleaned so far all these and put them into new sleeves. And these. So I've done about 50. I've cleaned about 50 of the records that I got off Richard Noller. Check out the video of the extended play in the UK book to find out more about that if you haven't watched it. So these are the ones that I've cleaned and played. The other ones I haven't played yet. Now every one of these plays absolutely fantastic. Even though some of them have still got marks on them, even though I've played. Cleaning a record doesn't get rid of a scratch, does it? But these all play absolutely fantastic. I played them on my everyday deck, which is up here, which is a Sony direct drive automatic turntable, and it's got Audio Technica basic cartridge on it. It's not a dead cheap one, but by no means is it a dead expensive one. And all of these sound absolutely fantastic. So far, none of these have jumped. There's a little bit of background noise in places, but you'd expect that with vintage records, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm not an audiophile. I have never ever been an audiophile. As long as a record plays and it plays all the way through, I'm happy. I don't mind a bit of background noise, you know, as long as it doesn't jump. That's the main thing, you know. If it plays, it plays. If I got a record from 1962 and it still looked brand new, I would think there was something wrong with it, because I think, well, it's got to be something wrong with it, because if it's never been played, why hasn't it ever been played? Does that make sense? The music room is looking like a tip at the moment, because when I clean my records, I had to actually put this desk that's on here over there to clean them. I will be cleaning some more. I've been trying to catch up on my cleaning, my records. I've been trying to catch up on listening to some records, and I've been trying to catch up on watching YouTube videos. So if you've left me comments and I haven't answered them yet, please be patient. That's all I'll say. Last week was one of the worst weeks ever I've had at work. Nothing particular, it just seemed to drag and drag and drag. You know, and things are going to go. I can't really say too much, but yeah, things are changing at work, and probably not for the better. But I'm still here. I'm still doing my YouTube channels, trying to entertain you lot out there. Remember, you are the beat of Beatle Dave. Without you, this channel basically wouldn't exist. A splendid time is guaranteed for all, so I hope you have enjoyed this little video, and I hope it's brought a little smile onto your face. It's not, don't take me too serious, folks. You know, I'm just here to entertain you more than anything. If you've learnt anything from these interview records, please drop me a line. If you've liked it, please drop me a line. If you haven't liked it, tell me why you didn't like it. You know, all this, you know, it's good to hear both sides sometimes. What else was I going to say? Yes, thank you, Terry Man, for the idea of doing this video. Thank you to everybody that is subscribing. Leave me likes and leave me comments. If you've liked the video, by the way, if you leave me a thumbs up, or 2 thumbs up, you can't leave 2 thumbs up, can you? But if you leave me a thumbs up, that helps YouTube to promote my channel and other people's channels as well. So, you know, you're not just helping me out, you are helping other channels out. If you're not subscribed, by the way, please just think about subscribing. It is free, doesn't cost you a penny, and it takes you a second to press that subscription button. And that's going to be it. Excuse me. There was 1 sec. That's better. Please stay tuned, because I'm expecting, oh God, I'm expecting something in the post which should be here, might be before I go back to work on Wednesday. If it is, I'll make the video. If not, it'll be here for next weekend. Fingers crossed. And that's going to be it. Oh, just a quick shout out to me old mate Beatle Tone of Beatle Tone's Beatles channel. I hope everything's okay, mate, and we are all missing you on YouTube, so please get well soon and start your videos again. So that's going to be it. Love and peace to you all. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe, and remember, love one another. So until the next time, it's Beatle Dave saying cheerio, everybody. Bye bye.